Welcome to the Momentom Collective podcast. Momentom Collective provides training spaces and community around the world for unconventional minds and nomads to co-create the future. This podcast shares ideas on how we can transcend and shift towards our highest self. John Early here with the Momentom Collective podcast, joined by Hannah Mermaid, who's been with us the last 2 weeks as one of our guest teachers here at the Momentom Indonesia residency at Whales and Waves in Sumbawa. And just a magical couple weeks. Thank you so much for coming in and dropping in with our community here.
Oh, it's been so divine. I can't imagine anything better, being right next to the ocean, hearing the waves every night, coconuts for breakfast, and beautiful people playing and enjoying. Just pristine energy that you guys are creating here.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's been mermaid everything lately. We just got out of a mermaid acro class. Right. I don't know if that's been done before.
I took over.
Yeah, a mermaid is taking over. And you're a professional mermaid, which is quite incredible.
It's yeah, I kind of created a new vocation in a way.
Yes.
Because I started out love of mermaids my entire life. It was just, as soon as I could draw pictures, my stick figures had tails.
Right.
I don't know where it came from, but I was that kid that was always at the bottom of the pool playing with, finding pennies, or how long can I hold my breath, or having my own tea parties. Yeah. It was just my see
terima
coconuts.
Kasih. Look at that. Terima kasih.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To being divine.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always in your head, this being with the ocean and being a mermaid.
I didn't grow up near the ocean. We took journeys to it. Didn't really have a pool either, but when I was 7, I saw the film Splash with Hannah and lost my little brain and had pictures everywhere and thought, this is so beautiful. She made it real. Mm-hmm. And I thought I could do it as a real life 3D experience. So I made my first tail, which was pretty awful and did more to drown me than to help me swim through the water. But it was a great learning experience. And it wasn't until like 20-something years later that I finally made my first adult tail. Mm-hmm. And at that time, there was no one around that made tails for sale. It was just for films, very expensive, latex, challenging thing to do. And so I made it from scratch, creating a monofin out of flippers and bolted polyethylene boards, and creating a mermaid tail out of wetsuit neoprene material, hand sewing tiny little scales all over it. And each tail takes about 6 months of work.
Wow.
So they are a labor of love. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it became a passion in more than just being beautiful and swimming through the ocean, having a personal experience. But as I traveled the world and saw all the devastation that was happening to the oceans, I felt a call to kind of be a bridge between land and sea and to make that my job.
Yeah. Mermaid with a message.
Exactly. We're facing a lot of challenges in our world. We're all aware of climate change and pollution and all of these different, fossil fuels overuse and overfishing. We've eaten 90% of the large fish in the ocean just in the last 50 years. Yeah. We are 70% water. The ocean is 70% of the earth. And if we don't look after our water, there's no more humans. Yeah. So it's the clock's ticking, and if I can be a little part of that to awaken people to the beauty of water, then absolutely, I feel like I've done my job.
And that's taken you on a lot of different places, and even part of some pretty epic projects and documentaries as well.
Yeah, we did a project for the film The Cove, which was the most awarded documentary of 2010. Got an Oscar, and it was. It was one of the most intense.
It's not an easy thing to watch.
No, it was like a lot of people say to me, I've heard of that film and I know what you did, but I can't watch it. Yeah. And I say to them, I know it's really difficult, but educate yourself, because there's a message beyond just the pain and the suffering of seeing a dolphin die. Yeah. There's so many multifaceted layers of challenges within this issue between different societies and cultures, and understanding each other, and compassion, and finding solutions to people's work and their livelihood, and really taking responsibility for our treatment of animals across the board, not just focusing on one. Right. So for me, I was vegetarian since birth, but became vegan because of the dairy industry is also horrible. So going and seeing firsthand an animal like a dolphin that's so sentient and so aware and seems to have so much connection and compassion with us,
Right.
being slaughtered in front of my face and literally swimming through blood and not being able to do anything other than bear witness
Right.
and showcase it for a film was the most heartbreaking thing I think I've ever done.
Yeah.
But it did help bring that message to the world, and so I really hope that people do watch it and take that message in and share it with other people that may not be as informed.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a big one, and I think we'll jump into a few more of those types of conversations. But let's get. I'm curious to hear a bit more of how you grew up and how this came up. Even you said you grew up being a vegetarian. Was that through your parents, or was that through?
When I was 1 year old, my mom, who was this beautiful Australian girl from a farmland, Catholic, pretty straight line, she broke out, she traveled the world, she did the hash train through Afghanistan, she had amazing adventures. Then she met my dad, who was an English rock star at the time, and they had me, and 1 year later she had this amazing spiritual awakening through a meditation teacher, Baba Muktananda from India. And she literally went vegetarian overnight.
Wow.
Without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
This is someone that came from a meat farm. And she woke up doing yoga postures and breathing and just having very expanded states of awareness.
Wow.
And so I was very, very fortunate to have been practically born into that frequency and that energy. And so I never had to make that choice for myself. I also never chose to try meat because for me it's not even a source of food. It's the animals are my friends and they're sentient beings, and I have full respect for their right to life. And so I was very lucky in that we got to go to meditation ashrams in India. I learned yoga, meditation, breath work, conscious living, community living from a very, very early age.
Yeah.
So it really set me up for all the things that I wanted to do in later life without realizing how important these skills were.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's quite the to have that kind of awakening for your mother right off. People dream of having these kind of like things to like wake up like after and being able to reach these deep states.
I'm always really impressed by people that have sought that out and found it through their own challenging circumstance and come to it. I have full respect and gratitude that I was ushered into it in such an easy way.
And then also your dad was big into music. I mean,
my dad.
That other side of things.
Yeah, my dad was an amazing rock star from the 70s. He co-wrote the song "All Right Now, Baby, It's All Right Now."
That's a great song. Yeah, he was on the bass,
He was the
right?
bass player and co-writer of the songs. So he had a wild journey. The man was such a survivor and so focused on his music, so dedicated, and I credit him with a lot of the focus that I've been able to employ and taking an artistic piece and then figuring out how to market it and bring it out to the world, because he was a master, a genius at that.
Yeah.
And he survived cancer and AIDS and having 2 kids before realizing he was gay. So the man had some serious lessons to share.
Wow.
Yeah. And we became kind of disengaged for all of my teen years, but came back together when I was around 22 and built the most beautiful friendship. And he's passed now, I hope, Papa. But yeah, he was huge inspiration to me.
Yeah. That is quite the parents to come into.
Yeah.
And I guess it sounds just about like the proper lineage to then turn into a mermaid from that kind of combination.
From a rock star papa and a past life regressionist, healer, mermaid, mama, yoga teacher,
Was he around long enough to see you turn into this person in this profession that you've had now?
My papa and I only hung out for the first 7 years of my life, and then we reconnected in my 20s, and so he was part of this evolution of seeing me take my kind of modeling, photography, art, and coalesce it all into the mermaid experience. And he was actually instrumental in helping to support me do some of the most challenging underwater shoots. He financed getting us on a boat to swim with tiger sharks, and he was actually helping me to create a film called Tears of a Mermaid that showcases all of the different behind-the-scenes adventures that I've been having.
Yeah. Well, that's just another big part of it. You've done some amazing shoots, and a lot of it seems to be self-financed, and that's a difficult thing to find. Financing for these types of these types of things. When was the moment when you were like, when did you realize I can turn this into a profession, both being a conservationist and an advocate, but also just doing some different things? Because to supplement that, you've got to do a bit of other persona stuff of like, you know, being able to try and keep it sustainable, right?
When I first started, I got into it because I was asked to go for an underwater casting for a job. They just needed a girl that could swim underwater nicely. And I got the job against all of these other much more, you know, beautiful, tall, young, all these gorgeous models, because I just had this natural ability, and I didn't realize that I had it until that moment. And it was, seeing the photos was like seeing the art that I've been trying to draw my entire life come to life. And I realized that I am my own art. And at that point I thought, hey, I made a tale when I was 9, I want to make an adult tale. And it was truly just coming from a place of, I just need to make this art happen. But once I created the tale, the first thing I did with it was to do a video with a friend who was trying to rehabilitate a water catchment. So immediately it had this a way to help the environment and the water, and that really turned me on. I'd already done things like dress up as a fairy and stand in front of bulldozers in the old growth forest, so I was already using costume and character creation as a way to stop destruction.
Art with a message.
Exactly. And so it was a natural progression. And I remember getting out on a bridge that was being torn down that was really creating a lot of devastation in the natural wetlands, and putting my tail on, and the cops came and moved everybody else off the bridge, and I was there like, I can't walk, you're gonna have to lift me if you want me out of this thing. And I got the front cover of the newspaper, and I was like, I see how this can work now, holding a sign saying save the water. So from there I just continued expanding into, you know, ocean conservation, protesting against whaling and dolphin kills, and traveling around the world to international whaling conventions, and aligning with groups like Sea Shepherd and Surfers for Cetaceans, doing visual petitions, and really using that persona for conservation.
And you also seem with some breathing techniques and pranayama that you're able to hold your breath underwater a little bit longer than most people, because that's some of these shoots that you do, they can't be easy to be in freezing cold water, holding your breath, trying to find these conditions, be with these wild animals that you'd have no idea how they're going to react.
Yeah, it's definitely been a big challenge, and I'm so grateful that I did grow up with that pranayama breathing, and my mother was deep into yoga practice, and so I had a natural head start, but I do breathing practice every day that really utilizes breathing into the lower belly, upper chest, and creating a wave-like structure and expanding those lungs, and using yoga to work with the body and keep fluid. But yeah, some of those shoots are so challenging. I remember doing a manta ray shoot, and I was locked to the bottom of the ocean at midnight in freezing cold water with 50 pounds of weight wrapped around my leg, with a current pushing me back and forth onto these really sharp rocks, with a dress that kept floating up over my head. Can't see very well because it's dark and I've got no goggles on, and just occasionally taking breaths of air.
Do you have contacts in at this point? Do you have some sort of water?
No, there's no contacts. I have used special contacts once for the tiger shark shoot that were very challenging to use, extremely expensive, and tended to float away.
Watch, what was it, $400 slowly float away?
$400 per, there it goes again. So yeah, generally I'm half blind, and I'm just working with the way shapes move underwater, and I'm tapping in more to the energetic frequency of the animals, and just reading from their movement how they're feeling, and trying to work in with them.
And which animals do you seem to resonate the most with, or which animals seem to have a presence that are very unique, or a sound or a vibration underwater? It's a whole different world underwater.
Under the sea. The first time I swam with whales changed everything for me. And I hadn't had that much experience with big underwater animals. That was one of the first. I went to Tonga, where they have breeding grounds, and you're legally allowed to swim with whales. And I remember looking down into the endless blue and seeing these sparkling rays of light going down into infinity. And I could hear the whales in the distance, just like, ooh, ooh, and then slowly seeing them come up and up and up, and then them getting so big and realizing I was the size of an ant. I was insignificant. And then thinking fear came in, and like they're not going to see me, I'm in danger, and I'm insignificant. And realizing when it came up and it just moved to the side, and its huge eyeball, the size of a head, looking at me with complete consciousness and awareness of its body size and how every move that it made impacted me, and it was just so gentle and so careful. And I realized that a whale can choose wherever it wants to be in the ocean. One flap of its tail and it's gone. Yeah. So the fact that it chooses to come up and spend time with us is phenomenal. Yeah. And then this adult and baby were singing to each other, and so the mother's sound was like this big rumbling speaker stack that moved all the bones in my body and felt like it was rearranging my DNA. Wow. And the baby's squeal was like a trumpet, just like whee, just joyful and amazing and activating. Right. And I got out of the water and I just cried. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I felt like I'd been downloaded with a lot of information and a mission. Yeah. And I knew that I would put my life on the line for these animals. Yeah. And so from that moment on, I was like fully dedicated to working with the ocean and the animals. Yeah. And since then, I've had the opportunity to swim with manta rays, sharks, turtles, seals, so many different gorgeous animals, and each one has its own distinct, beautiful personality. Yeah. What are been some of the more challenging ones? Or I guess, that tiger shoot, shark. Tiger sharks, I was so terrified to get up that close and personal with a 17
As you should be terrified.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen Jaws. We generally have this, sharks are big, bloodthirsty, man-eating, Jaws, and that's what we've been instilled with, even though, we kind of know a little bit to the contrary now, that they're not just out there to eat us, but they're still a terrifying animal. They're apex predators. Mm-hmm. But what I found was so enthralling to me, because the tiger shark, out of all these gorgeous animals that I've swum with in the ocean, manta rays and dolphins and whales, the tiger sharks were the only ones that actually came up to me for physical contact. They enjoyed it. They nudged up against and put their nose in front to have a tickle, and allowed me to run my fingers underneath their belly, and I could feel all of their hard muscle rippling under my fingertips. Wow. And they don't flinch away. They like it. And
you're underwater with one breath, not freaking out that this thing could change its mind at any time?
You have an incredible amount of flow state awareness. Yeah. All thoughts disappear. Yeah. You cannot go in there and be in fear. You have to be completely steady and centered, which is where all the meditation and the yoga and the breath work and the chanting come into play. I did a lot of that before every shoot. Yeah. And there were times when I was just like, I'm not ready to get in. I need more time, and you just have to take it, because if your energetic frequency is off, they can feel it. Right. Logistically, one of the most ridiculously challenging things I've ever done. I mean, I'm weighted to the bottom with 12 pounds of weight in my shoes. I'm covered from head to toe in spray paint.
Body paint.
Body paint that took 2 hours on a boat to do every single time I got in the water. And mind you, I couldn't take it off at night. For a week, I was painted blue. I just kept putting more layers on. And then I have these contacts in my eyes, which are very uncomfortable and have a little convex thing over the pupil that allows you to see in front of you underwater. But you have to keep them in your eye for 20 minutes prior to getting in the water, and it's just all blurry, and there's a scratchy thing on your eye. Oof. So it's just you've got to go into deep meditation and release your attachment to feeling comfortable. Right. And then we actually had about 10 people underwater. There were safety divers, and there were shark wranglers, and there was filmers, and there was ABC News crew. So it was a lot of pressure. Yeah. And honestly, if I hadn't had meditation and mantra and breath work, there's no way I could have handled that amount of pressure to do what I did. But yeah, once they show up, everything else kind of disappears. Yeah. And you're just communicating with them and surrendering.
And I think that was the one that really blew up as well, right? As soon as that came out, millions of views, went on headlines around the world.
50 million views online and on TV networks in the first 24 hours. Wow. And I had just hundreds of letters coming in saying, I've always been terrified of sharks, but after I saw what you did,
Yeah.
that's really changed my perspective, and I'm going to sign the petition to try and help end the shark culling policy, which we
in
actually,
Australia because of a
yeah.
couple surfers getting attacked, right?
Exactly, yeah. They just started killing sharks all up and down the coast
So
just because
crazy.
there have been a couple of attacks.
Yeah.
You think about it, we've eaten so many of the fish, they're probably starving to death.
Right.
And most shark attacks are mistaken identity of surfers just flailing around on top, and a
Right.
shark kind of thinks, oh, it's a dying seal or a turtle or something.
Yeah.
Takes one bite and then disappears.
There's such a fear around sharks, and even with Jaws, that was one of the movies that really kicked it off. And I
It's
think
got a
even
lot to
Steven
answer
Spielberg
for.
said, I regret ever making that movie because it's
Yes.
created such fear around this beautiful animal.
So true.
Yeah.
So I hope we can make more films like what I'm doing and just showcase how gorgeous and interactive these animals are.
Yeah.
And manta rays are one of my other favorites. They're like truly the ballerinas of the sea, these gorgeous aliens just
Yeah.
flapping through, and I watch them and I just
They're
try
massive.
they're like 15 foot across. They're
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And they do these gorgeous spins when they're feeding or they're mating with each other. They just spin around and around. So
Yeah.
if you place yourself in the right place, you can kind of do this gorgeous ballet move
Right.
and spin with them.
Yeah.
I've had these moments of swimming upside down, blowing bubbles onto the stomach of a 15-foot manta ray while it just flaps gently above me.
Amazing. And they don't have a stinger. They don't attack.
No,
There's
they're
no.
completely docile, harmless, gorgeous animals. They have no means of defense whatsoever, so we
Yeah.
really have to look after them.
Yeah.
And to that end, we created a film called Manta's Last Dance, which was shown at the Convention for International Trade on Endangered Species. And we were able to get the delegates to vote 80% in favor of protecting manta rays and having them on that list of
So incredible.
endangered animals. for
Especially
the
here in
first time.
Indonesia, where it's been a
Yeah.
primary source of for a lot of villages here for them to hunt that and ship them off for Chinese medicine and different things.
I mean, it wasn't even a thing until recently because we've killed so many sharks that they started thinking, well, what else can we kill that we
Right.
can offer for these strange soups that they sell in Asia?
Right.
And so then manta rays started getting wiped out. But you know, we kill 100 million sharks every year. That's 12,000 every hour. And we get less than 10 humans killed by sharks per year.
Yeah.
You think about it, and we have this concept that there are these...
Who's the predator?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just it. Who's the man?
Yeah.
So in your mind, what are things that people can do at home? I know sometimes people feel so isolated from the fishing industry, from what might be deemed as like government laws or Chinese medicine or these things. What can people do?
Yeah, really check the ingredients first of all, the supplements that you're eating. There's a lot of like cartilage, shark cartilage that is added into health powders and things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. Fish oil, just take out eating fish and ocean animals. I mean, go vegan. Honestly, that is the number one thing that we each can personally make that choice to do every single day.
Right.
That will make a massive positive impact. I think we were talking the other day that each person in the United States is responsible for 200,000 animal deaths per year, if you even it out.
Wow.
It's outrageous. It's like hundreds a day. And so...
No wonder species are going extinct.
Yeah.
And our carbon footprint is so high to create
Exactly.
these things.
So yeah, just taking out that whole equation and going vegan for your own self, for your health. You know, it's proven now that there are, triathletes and people top of their game, and if you get sick or you get cancer, the first thing they say is cut out meat.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really no excuse anymore, and there's so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you merge your spiritual practice with your mermaid practice and with animals? When do you feel like you're most tapped into that flow state? You're discussing when you're down in the water, but also when you're out of water. How do you find that flow and that spirituality on land as well?
If I keep tapped into my yoga and breath work every day, then the way that I move through my life feels like swimming.
Right.
And I try to keep that beyond just my hour-long practice. and then I take it into my everyday activities. So when I'm reaching for the vacuum, you know, make it a graceful flow.
Yeah.
When you're hugging someone, like really embrace them and show up in your like most authentic, gorgeous, expanded self.
Yeah.
And being a mermaid incorporates so many different things in my life. A lot of it is sitting at home on the computer editing photos or, you know, doing business things. So I have to keep reminding myself that this is just as important as the moment that I'm out in the ocean, because I'm relating with other humans, and that's what's going to make a big difference for these animals.
Yeah.
So bringing that gracefulness and love into every interaction.
Well said. Finding that intention throughout the whole thing, and everything is part of the same process.
Yeah.
I think that's important, because I think a lot of us, we do spend so much time behind the computer, and sometimes our real passion, or whether it's aerial silks or being in the water or being in nature, it can only a little fraction, but seeing that as a whole, I think would be really helpful.
Exactly.
Yeah. What are some other ways that, or what are some other the common questions that you get when people ask about the whole mermaid profession?
How do mermaids have sex?
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
For some reason, people want to know. I just say like dolphins.
Oh, well said.
And I actually wasn't.
Also squeaky noises.
Yes, squeaky noises. I was actually in the middle of a 400-strong dolphin orgy in Hawaii last year. It was pretty awesomely entertaining.
Were they asking consent?
I didn't partake.
Okay.
I was just voyeuristically watching.
Yeah. Well, I think they're animals that actually enjoy having sex. That's
they love it. They're polyamorous. They're all about it.
Yeah.
They're actually some of them are pretty naughty. You know, like they don't always ask consent of each other.
Right.
Shall we say?
Right.
Yeah. They're naughty little.
I've been fortunate
fish.
to be on a lot of catamarans, and it's amazing seeing a pod of dolphins come in. They swim in front of the catamaran or the sailboat. They guide it. It's like they're making this V, and then they kind of swim off. Like they're just so full of play all the time, and they're conscious. They're conscious of like, hey, there's humans there. There's something cool. Let's go play with it. And okay, you guys are too slow, or go off here. So.
If I was going to be an animal, it would definitely be a dolphin. Like their lifestyle, they're just playing all the time. They're joyful. They're catching waves and
amazing.
Yeah, just hanging out.
What are some animals on your list for things that you'd like to either film with or see on the protected list?
The remaining ones are the uber challenging ones, because I've really done a wide berth of all the large animals in the ocean, been lucky enough to really drop into a lot of it. So before I became a mermaid, I had this really deeply tactile, intense, expanded dream. And I was on the edge of a body of water, and this white whale came up out of the water, and it had lips, and it kissed me on my third eye, and it sort of started sucking on my forehead, and that opened up this incredible, expansive feeling of awakening.
Wow.
Of just like pure light, expansive, heart opened, like wow. And I woke up in this expanded state, just like and I was like to my partner at the time, I was like, oh, white whale with lips just awoke my third eye. I don't know what that was. It was really weird, but it felt so real. And he said, a beluga whale. I said, what's that? And so I looked it up online. I'm like, oh my God, it's a white whale with lips. I hadn't even really seen one or knew about them. So they're really cold, icy cold water animals. So I have not met one yet. So one day maybe I'll make a full body mermaid costume or get some heated mermaid elements. I don't know. But that, you know, they called me in before I was even a mermaid and gave me a really strong download. So I'd love to meet a beluga. And after seeing blackfish, I want to swim with an orca.
Yes.
Yeah, also cold water animals. So, you know, I'm a bit of a tropical mermaid. So we'll figure it out one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of mermaid, I feel like there's a little something missing here.
Yeah, I'm feeling like kind of only halfway done.
Yeah, I feel that let's take a little time out here, and we'll come right back.
All right.
Much better.
Yes.
I feel so much more in flow right now.
Fin flappingly fantastic.
Oh yes, I need to get a bit more of this.
Get your fin flap happening.
There we go. Perfect.
And if someone gets out of line, you can fish slap them.
You can give them a fish slap, yes. So you have how many of these tails?
Well, these are just some fun fabric ones for playing around with aerial and acro, but the ones that I create, they're like tiny little sequin scales and hand molded silicon fins, and I have 14 of those.
Yeah.
And it's,
wow,
pretty much one and a bit for every year I've been doing this, which is 18 years now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Where can people find, do you have any of your fins for sale, or are they all custom?
I don't make
magic?
my fins for sale, they just take too long, but hey, if you want to give me a lot of money, maybe I'll do one
for
you.
good purposes.
Oh yeah, it all goes back to the ocean. But I create them and I perform in them underwater for the film and television, live events. Yeah.
Amazing. I feel so much younger as well already. I just feel a bit more swimmingly.
Yeah, it makes you feel really
yeah. What are some of your other secrets to staying so young as a mermaid?
A lot of core work.
Core work.
Yeah, all of this, like lifting the tail up. Yep.
Obviously your diet, you felt, has been a big part of keeping you
100%, and no smoking, minimal drinking, just dance a lot, really stay happy.
Yeah.
Good positive vibes. Organic.
You've always got a smile on your face all the last 2 weeks. It's been great to see.
Yep, organic skincare.
Yeah.
All the good things.
Fantastic. And so what would be, besides the ocean things, what would be your superpower besides being a mermaid? Or if you were a super mermaid?
My superpower is staying in love through challenge.
Well said. And that's definitely needed in this time and in the work that you do, to not take on too much of the negativity of the things that you see and the things that you're a part of.
Yeah. Just keep an open channel for pure source love to flow through. And I always just ask myself, what would love do?
Yeah. So what are some tools that you use to keep you in that process?
Release attachment to the ego and being right, and just keep asking, what would love do? And then of course the yoga, the meditation, the breath work, some like Tai Chi rainbow breath work that I employ that activates each chakra with some deep breathing. Whenever I feel my flow or my alignment starts to get a little bit wobbly, I just bring back the physical and emotional mental practices and just laugh. And just
laugh it off.
Yeah, humor. They were asking us, what does it mean to be human? What is the human experience? And for me, I said, humor.
Yeah.
We try to be the highest version of ourselves and connect to the divine in all moments, but we all fail, we all make mistakes.
Can't take things too seriously.
Just laugh
Spirituality
at yourself.
Or anything else, activism too. Sometimes you gotta just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges that you've found here with Momentom? What are some of the activities that you stepped into that were made you
push
have some
my boundaries?
Moments?
Yeah, I've really not done any aerial and not very much acro before, and so stepping into trying silks for the very first time was just like, whoa, okay. But I felt really good afterwards that I'd pushed myself and I'd actually achieved more than I thought that I would.
Right.
And so that gave me a lot of confidence to feel like I can try new things again. Because even though the things that I do are really wild and out there, and I'm always like trying new ocean experiences, I found that I've narrowed down my point of focus a little bit to just what I'm really good at.
Right.
So being here has really expanded me to try new things.
Yeah.
And step outside my comfort zone a lot.
Amazing.
And I love that. That's my favorite thing to do. So
yeah,
thanks for the opportunity.
And I mean, obviously community is a really big aspect of the Momentom Artist Residency. What does community mean to you? How do you define community?
For me, community is having open lines of communication and compassion for each other, and so we're not just these separate beings that are rotating around each other. At any stage, I've felt everybody's open heart to just really drop in and to be present and to be open and vulnerable.
Right.
And not trying to always just impress and like showcase this veneer and this version of themselves, but to really go through the processes, because we're all having these emotional connections, these ups and down challenges.
Sure.
These
Even
physical,
in paradise, there's a lot of challenges.
Yeah,
absolutely.
These physical challenges, these love challenges, and the fact that people are really present to be with each other through that and to reflect each other back in a way that's non-judgmental and hold that space.
Yeah.
That feels like community to me.
Beautiful. Well, we're so thankful to have you part of our community here.
Yeah, it feels like home.
It does feel like home, and feels like home having you here with us. We'll catch you soon in Guatemala or maybe back in Indonesia, and really excited to continue to co-create with you. I know we're working on a film with you right now,
Yep.
the Austin Queen, and also Sean here. It's been really exciting to help spread this word, and thank you for all the light that you share.
Thank you guys for being so particularly like calling in the water aspect for this, and really giving a platform for the message to come through.
Yeah.
That's really strong.
Absolutely.
And your ocean conservation efforts are really appreciated.
It's water everywhere. It's not just the ocean. It's, the lakes and the rivers.
Yep.
Lake Atitlan we'll be going back to next, very heavily polluted, needing some help. And hopefully we'll, with this film and other things that we do to help people see water as sacred, not just this abundant, cheap thing that we can have infinitely. It's such a tough challenge to find it anywhere else in the universe. So we can't take it for granted, right?
We could send drones to Mars, and we're like, we found the
found
remnants
a tiny
of
little
molecule.
molecule.
We live on a 70% water planet.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we look?
Let's not give up on this amazing marble we're on right now.
Totally.
So amazing. What are some companies or some resources or websites people can check out if they're wanting to help donate or support a project? What can people check out?
I've been working with Sean Heinrichs, underwater film guy and ocean conservationist, for about 8 years now, and a group that he helped to start is Blue Sphere Foundation, and I really like what they're doing because it's very much on the ground, going to remote communities, changing their ideas around fishing and ocean conservation and animal interaction, and then inspiring them using art and filming them doing the right thing, and then showcasing it back to them to lift them up to be the heroes of their own community to make those changes.
Yeah.
So for me, mixing the artivism into the activism,
absolutely.
is a really strong thing that I like to support. And then larger brands is like Sea Shepherd has got a great place in my heart because they're just badass, and like they really just stand up for it. And they're like, humans, whatever, we're gonna save the animals. And Oceana is just a really huge, big platform that's a good organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I think that's something that feels why it's such a good connection here, is mixing that art with a purpose, and that's exactly what we love to do, is bringing in spirituality and art and fusing that all together. And I feel that's where so much of the magic is with being human, and then hopefully being able to showcase that to these other animals in the water and seeing how they also have their art and how they move, and what you guys have been able to showcase with Sean, who's here as well.
Yeah. And
we're really excited to have you guys here, and thank you again for everything. So what else can people check out for more information on Hannah Mermaid?
HannahMermaid.com, Hannah Mermaid Facebook, Hannah Mermaid Instagram. Check out all the amazing, beautiful artistic imagery that we've created, and you'll be seeing the Momentum video coming out soon on those platforms.
All right. Well, shake a tail to that. Tail swap. All right.
Thank you.
Hannah Mermaid, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Coming to you from the Indonesia residency here in Sumbawa Island. John Early, thank you so much for tuning in and flipping out with us.
Awesome.
For more info or content from Momentum Collective, or to apply for one of our international artist residencies, visit momentumcollective.com. That's Momentum, Momentom. The Momentum Podcast theme you're listening to is the track Beam Me Up by our friend and producer Arterium. For more eclectic soundscapes, find Arterium on SoundCloud.